Hi everyone, welcome back to this tutorial. In this lesson, we're going to discuss how to create a piece of music by using audio loops. Audio loops are a piece of audio that, because of the way that it was recorded, allows us to loop it back around and it sounds seamless. I'll demonstrate that for you in a minute. First, we're going to start off by talking a little bit about the assignment, showing you where the assignment's located in Canvas, as well as where you can download the loops that you'll be using to complete this project. The loops that you need to create your piece of music for this assignment are found in Canvas. So here we are in one of my sections of Music 1400. First thing, let's go to the actual module. So click on the Module tab on the left-hand side, and we'll scroll down to this particular module, which right now is Module 8, Pro Tools Working with Audio. Okay, you'll see the project is right here. Project 2, Creating Music with Loops. We're going to click on that, open that assignment. You can see here it tells you about your assignment. There's an audio files link right here that you can click. When you click that, it'll take you to the download location of these files. They're all zipped files, and what I want you to do is click on these and download each of them onto your desktop. And this is going to be a minute or so to download, so we'll continue our discussion once those have completed downloading. Now, what I want to do is unzip these so I can just double click on each of them to unzip their contents. And that will place all of their contents in new folders that will just be folders that aren't zipped folders. Okay, now we have all 4 folders that are unzipped. I'm going to go ahead and just select all of these zipped files now and delete them. Okay, now you'll see that we actually have inside of these folders a bunch of different, in this case, drum loops, some bass parts, and some guitar parts. And we'll use elements from these 4 folders to create our piece of music. So let's now go into Pro Tools and set up our session. Now, I already have Pro Tools open, that's how I'm able to communicate with you. But since you don't have it open, we'll go through those steps. So you're going to come to the Quick Start dialog box. That'll look something like this. You will select Create Session from Template. You'll go to the Music folder and you'll find a file that says Music 1400 Template. And that's what you'll use for your actual template for your song. So you'll click OK, and it'll ask you to name your session. You go ahead and name your session, etc. And then it will open up a new session for you. So here's my session that I have opened that will be my loop-based project or assignment. So this assignment is creating a piece of music by using audio loops. Well, first off, what is an audio loop? Well, we mentioned it briefly in our introduction. An audio loop is a piece of music or a piece of audio that can seamlessly wrap from one end to the other. In the old days, they would create a loop when they had tape machines by actually taking a 2 or 4 bar piece of music, say a drum kit part, and they would pull the tape across the head, and when they got to the beginning of the 5th bar, they would actually cut the tape, and then they would loop the tape around and tie it to itself. So it actually created a physical loop of tape and created an endless loop, and then they could play that, as long as the tape rotated. So that's where the term loop came from, was the fact that they actually created a physical loop from a piece of tape. So our loops in digital audio are different, and we can access all of the loops that we just downloaded in one location. That location in Pro Tools is called the Workspace Window. You can get to the Workspace Window by clicking on the Window drop-down menu and going to the Workspace Window right here. You can also see that it has a shortcut associated with it, Option semicolon. So I'm going to click on that and go ahead and open my Workspace Window. Now the Workspace Window is a great place to audition your audio files, whether you're creating a piece of music with loops or doing something else. This window is a great location to access any of the data that you may use in your Pro Tools session. First thing we're going to do is navigate to where I placed those 4 loop folders. I know that I placed them on my sample hard drive and down here where it says Music 1400 Loop. So I'm going to double click on that. It's going to open up a new workspace window that will just contain these 4 folders that contain my audio loops. Okay, so let's actually talk about how to set up the workspace window to audition our loops before we import them into our Pro Tools session. There are a couple of buttons that you need to be really familiar with. The first one is this button right here. When you click it, it's green. What this button does is that it makes all of the audio loops that you play or audition in the workspace window play at the tempo that you have selected for your Pro Tools session. All right? So all of these audio loops have all been recorded at different tempos. You can even see what the tempos are on most loops. They contain the tempo. So this was recorded originally at 100 beats a minute. Okay, so that loop is recorded at 100 beats a minute. But because I have this green button enabled, it's forcing that loop to play at 92 beats a minute instead of 100. So if I turn this off, you'll hear now when it plays, it's at a different tempo, a little bit faster than this tempo. Okay, that's a little faster, and this is even more faster. Okay, but if we click the green button, it forces every loop to play at the session tempo that we have selected, which is what we want. So the first rule in dragging loops into our Pro Tools session is to make sure that this green button is always on. The other thing that we can do is make sure by right-clicking that all 3 of these buttons are lit up. Loop preview and auto preview. That way when you click on any loop, it's going to automatically preview, play for you. It's a nice way to, scroll through the loops. You can also use the space bar to stop. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to audition and find a basic drum beat that I like. I'm just using the up and down keys. Maybe I'll choose that one. Okay, I like that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag this into Pro Tools. So I make sure that the green button is lit up or enabled, and I'm going to click on this loop and I'm going to drag it over here and place it in the track list like this, and then I'm going to release the mouse. You can see what it's done is it has added that particular audio loop to my Pro Tools session. You can go down here and zoom in. You can see it's a nice 4-bar loop. Now we can listen to that. Turn it down a little bit so you guys can hear me as well. Okay, so now we've got a drum loop that's happening. Next thing, I'm going to make sure that I'm in grid mode. And the reason I want to make sure of that is because I may want to move these things around, and I want them to always snap right to a beat and bar location. And now what I want to do is I want to have this play at least 8 bars. So right now it's a 4-bar phrase. What I want to do is copy this and place it right there as well. So I can do that 2 different ways. I can go select it with the grabber tool, that's the hand. In order to get that hand tool, remember you've got to be below the center line, which is right here. Here's the center line. If you're below that center line, it's going to give you the hand tool. If you're above the center line, it'll give you the selector tool. So, below the center line, click on it. It's going to select that entire loop, and then I can either copy by going Command C, or up here, copy, right there, Command C. So Command C, copy, and then I can go over here and place my cursor and go Command V, or paste. Same thing, just like in a word processor program. An easier way to accomplish that exact same task is by just using your Option key modifier. So press down the Option key and then click and drag your audio and then release it where you want it to go. And that makes a copy of your audio. So 2 different ways to duplicate your audio. So now we have 8 bars of audio. Now we can go back to the Workspace window and maybe find a bass part that works with our drums. I think that one. Okay, so I can click on that and I can drag it over here and bring it into our session. Click on this. Now I don't want it to start right there. I want the drums to do at least 4 bars first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to drag it out here and have it start there. And then it wants to go at least 4 bars. So let's Option, click and drag and duplicate that. Now we can hit the Return key, go to the beginning of our session, and hit the space bar to listen to what we've got so far. Now I could go back to the Workspace window and find something else. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just do it like a basic blues pattern. So I'm going to drag this also into my Pro Tools session. But I'm going to have this go on the same track. So I can just click on this and drag it right in onto that track. So that's another thing that I can do. I don't have to drag it over here and create a new track. I could also drag it right on to here and just add it to this existing track. So I want to duplicate my drums again. So Option, click and drag. And now let's listen from, say, here. And it wants to go back to the tonic or the original key, which is right here. So I'll click Option, click and drag it. Back to our Workspace window. Okay, and we're going to grab that. And we're going to again place that on the bass track. Now what I'm going to do, using this trim tool, I'm going to trim this and make it only 1 bar in length. And then I'm going to copy this D. So Option, click and drag. And then also make this only 1 bar in length. So now we're going to have a complete blues pattern. And then the last thing, grab this Option, drag this, place it there. Now we've got a complete blues pattern with the bass. Okay, great. Now, I want to speed this up. It's a little too slow for me. So I'm going to go up to 110, and you can see all of the audio stretches, and we'll now play at a little faster tempo. Great. In our next video, we're going to continue working on this piece by adding a few guitar tracks. So we'll see you then.